Naomi Hayes woke to the sharp, hollow sound of a door slamming shut. The clock on her bedside table glowed 2:30 a.m. She heard heavy footsteps in the entryway, then the rustle of clothes dropping to the hardwood floor, followed by a dull thud. Darius was home from his company's holiday gala. A minute later, her husband was snoring beside her, his dress sock still on. He smelled of whiskey and a sweet, cloying foreign perfume, an aroma entirely unlike the light, crisp scent Naomi preferred. She twisted her face and scooted toward the edge of the king-sized bed. It had been a long time since the 30-year-old woman was surprised by these late-night returns. Over the last 6 months, Darius had changed. Before, he used to be home by 7 in the evening. They would share dinner, watch series, and talk about their plans for the weekend. Now her husband stayed at work until 9, sometimes even 11. "New project," he'd explain tersely, without looking up from his phone screen. Naomi worked as a senior real estate broker for a major Atlanta agency, Premier Properties. Her days were spent driving across the city, showing condos and houses, meeting with clients, and handling complex closing documents. She loved her job. She knew how to connect with people, sense their needs, and help them make the right decisions. In 5 years in the profession, Naomi had earned a reputation as a reliable specialist. She and Darius had met 7 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. He was charming, witty, and knew how to tell stories in a way that left everyone captivated, the life of the party. Naomi fell for him instantly. Darius worked as a marketing specialist for a small firm. He dreamed of climbing the corporate ladder. A year later, they were married. 2 years after that, they bought a 2-bedroom condo in a great up-and-coming neighborhood. Naomi invested all her savings into the renovations. She meticulously chose every interior detail, creating a cozy nest for their future family. But children never came. At first, they postponed it because of the mortgage. Then, Darius got a promotion and became the associate director of marketing at a large company, Synergy Marketing Group. "Let's wait 1 more year," he'd say. "I need to solidify myself in this new role." Naomi accepted, though anxiety grew inside her with every passing month. Naomi was the first to wake the next morning. Darius was sprawled across the bed, hogging all the space. Naomi quietly got up, put on her robe, and went to the kitchen to start the coffee maker. Passing through the living room, she noticed her husband's blazer tossed on the floor. Sighing, she picked it up to hang it in the closet. That's when a set of keys tumbled out of the pocket. Naomi automatically reached down for them. A normal keychain with 3 keys and a charm. But the charm made her stop cold. It was a small pink plastic heart inscribed with "For my love." These weren't her keys. Her keychain hung on the hook next to the front door. She'd seen it there just the night before. Someone else's keys. In the pocket of her husband's jacket, Naomi's heart began to pound faster. She clenched the unfamiliar keychain in her fist and looked around. Darius's cell phone was on the living room side table. Its screen lit up with notifications. She picked it up and unlocked it. 1234. Her husband had never hidden the code from her before, and what a mistake that was. On the screen was an unread message from an unknown number not saved in his contacts. "Hope you already told your stupid wife you're leaving her for me. The apartment keys are in your pocket. Kisses." Naomi read the message 3 times. Every word pierced her consciousness like a shard of glass. Stupid wife. Leaving her for me. Apartment keys. Strangely, she felt no pain. Instead, a chilling calm descended upon her. Naomi slowly sat on the sofa, still gripping the foreign keys. In her mind, the situation formed with crystalline clarity. Darius had a mistress. This woman was so confident in him that she had already given him the keys to her place. Moreover, she believed he was going to leave. He was supposed to tell his wife today. Naomi glanced toward the bedroom, where her husband was snoring. A 35-year-old man she had been married to for 7 years, with whom she shared a home and a bed, into whom she had poured her soul, and with whom she planned the future. And he was just going to walk away, perhaps even tonight. She stood up and walked to the window. The world kept spinning, oblivious that Naomi's life was collapsing. No, it wasn't collapsing. A strange smile appeared on the woman's lips. She looked back at her husband's phone, then at the keys in her hand. "I'm going to throw you a welcome home party," Naomi whispered. Her fingers moved instinctively to the conversation with the unknown number. The last message had arrived at 2 a.m. Naomi started typing a reply on Darius's behalf. "I'll tell her tonight. Get the champagne ready, love." Send. The message went through with 2 quick clicks. A second later, the checks turned blue. Red. Naomi deleted the entire conversation, including her message and the mistress's incoming text. She put the phone back on the side table and hid the keys in her robe pocket. The coffee maker in the kitchen started hissing. She returned to the kitchen, poured herself a cup of coffee, sat at the table, and tried to think calmly. In her chest burned not despair, but a sharp, calculating excitement. Naomi had always been able to calculate her moves several steps ahead. That was precisely why she was a successful real estate broker. Now the most complex operation of her life was opening before her, and she intended to win. Darius came out of the bedroom around 10 in the morning. His face was puffy, his eyes sleepy, his eyelids swollen. He shuffled to the kitchen without even saying hello, poured water from the pitcher, and drank it in one go. "My head is splitting. Get me some Advil," he mumbled, slumping into the chair across from Naomi. "I made you breakfast," she said softly, placing a plate of scrambled eggs with fresh vegetables and a cup of coffee in front of him. And then the Advil. Darius looked at his wife in surprise. For the past few months, she had greeted his late returns with irritated silence. And now this care. "Thanks," he grumbled and began to eat. Naomi finished her coffee, observing her husband. He ate quickly without looking up. A nearly smudged lipstick mark was visible on his cheek. His hair was a mess. A typical 35-year-old man after a company party. Nothing special to him. When had he first cheated? A month ago? 6 months? Maybe this relationship had been going on for a year, and Naomi hadn't noticed a thing, believing in the late work hours and urgent projects. "Do you have plans for today?" she asked in a calm voice. "Gotta swing by the office for a bit," Darius replied, without taking his eyes off his plate. "Finish a presentation. I'll be back earlier tonight around 8. Naomi nodded. So tonight he planned to break the news, that he was leaving, that he was choosing someone else. "Okay, I'll be busy too," she said. "I'm showing 3 properties, then a meeting with clients about a new listing." Darius finally looked at his wife. A flicker of relief crossed his eyes. No complaints. Perfect. He finished his coffee and stood up. "I'm gonna shower." When the bathroom door closed, Naomi took the foreign keys from her robe pocket. The small pink heart sparkled in the morning sun. Who was this woman? How old was she? What did she look like? Naomi picked up her phone and dialed the number of a private investigator she'd gotten 2 years ago from a client. That client had been investigating her husband's infidelity and had recommended a good specialist. Naomi had saved the contact without knowing why. Now she understood. Her intuition had warned her. "Reliant Investigations, Marcus Jones speaking." A masculine voice answered. "Good morning. My name is Naomi Hayes. I need a consultation regarding a personal matter. Can we meet today?" "Certainly. I have time at 2 p.m. Does that work for you?" "Perfect." Naomi wrote down the address and put the phone down. The plan was maturing in her head on its own, precise and cold, like a surgical operation. The day passed in the usual hustle, showing properties, negotiations, signing contracts. Naomi smiled at clients, joked, and discussed transaction details. No one would have noticed the hurricane raging inside her. At exactly 2 o'clock, she entered the detective agency's office. It was a small space on the 3rd floor of an office park, with modest furniture and shelves crammed with folders. A tall man of about 45, with a penetrating gaze from his gray eyes, came out to greet her. The silver at his temples lent him an air of solidity. "Marcus Jones," he introduced himself, shaking her hand. "Please, have a seat." Naomi sat in the armchair opposite his desk. Yet Marcus settled into his chair, clasped his hands on the desk, and looked intently at his visitor. "I'm listening." I need complete information about a person, Naomi began. A woman. I only know her phone number. She dictated the number from the text message. Marcus took notes. All right, name, workplace, address, social circle. I can find all that out in a few days. What else? I need to know everything about her relationship with my husband. How long have they been seeing each other? Where? What is he promising her? Every detail is important. Marcus nodded. He had seen dozens of women like this, betrayed wives who came looking for proof of infidelity. But there was something different about this one. Too calm, too serene. May I know why you need this information? He asked cautiously. Please understand, the working methodology depends on your goal. Naomi looked him straight in the eyes. I want to destroy this woman's life the same way she tried to destroy mine. But I want to do it elegantly, legally correctly, and with maximum benefit for me. The detective's eyebrows rose. Understood. Then we will need not only information about the mistress, but also a complete dossier on your husband. Finances, properties, all his contacts, and conversations. Exactly. How much time do you need? 1 week for the basic information, 2 weeks for the complete dossier with recorded conversations if necessary. I don't have 2 weeks, Naomi stated firmly. 1 week maximum, work day and night if you have to. Money is not an issue. Marcus pondered, then nodded. All right, 1 week, but I'll need your help. We'll install an application on your husband's phone to track movements and copy conversations. Can you do that? I can. They discussed the details and signed the contract. Naomi transferred the retainer directly from the office. Leaving the detective's office, she felt a strange thrill. The game had begun, and she intended to win every chip. That evening, Darius did return around 8, as promised. Naomi greeted him with a smile and dinner. Her husband seemed tense. He tried to speak several times but couldn't bring himself to do it. When they went to bed, Darius immediately turned his back to the wall. Naomi lay with her eyes open, listening to his breathing. Half an hour later, he was sound asleep. She quietly got up, took his phone from the side table, and went to the living room. She installed the app Marcus had given her. The program disguised itself as a system security update. Darius wouldn't notice a thing. Then Naomi opened his messenger app and searched for the dialogue with the unknown number. Of course, Darius had written to the mistress, but the conversation had been deleted. It doesn't matter. Naomi created a new message. Sorry for the silence, sweetie. It was a tough day. Couldn't talk to my wife, but I will tomorrow for sure. Miss you. Kisses. The reply arrived 2 minutes later. I understand, my love. Don't rush it. Everything must be done properly. I'm waiting for you. I love you. Naomi smiled. Then she deleted the entire conversation and put the phone back. The plan was working perfectly. The next morning, Marcus Jones sent the first results. Naomi read the message sitting in her SUV before a showing. Target located. Chloe Jensen, 25 years old, secretary at Synergy Marketing Group. Works in the same office as your husband. Rents a 1-bedroom apartment on Pinewood Drive. Her parents live in another state. Never married, no children. Continuing surveillance. Secretary, 25 years old. A classic story. Boss and young employee. Naomi smiled ironically. Darius had always considered himself original, and yet he turned out to be so predictable. She opened social media and found Chloe's page. An attractive blonde with full lips and large eyes. The photos showed many selfies in coffee shops, at parties, at the gym. A naive girl dreaming of a prince on a white horse. Naomi scrolled through the posts. 2 weeks ago, Chloe had uploaded a sunset photo with the caption, "Happiness is so close." A week ago, a quote about true love. The day before yesterday, an image with the phrase, "Believe in miracles and they will happen." The poor thing was already living in a pink dream, Naomi thought. Chloe imagined the wedding, the honeymoon, a life together, and Darius was just having fun. Or was he? Naomi paused. What if her husband had genuinely fallen in love? What if he was ready to leave everything for this girl? Then the plan would need to be adjusted. She called Marcus. I need all of Darius's conversations about Chloe, especially where he talks about his intentions, and also I need to tap Chloe's phone. Tapping the phone is more complicated, the detective replied. I need physical access. Find a way. Offer her a promotion to participate in a survey. Whatever. The important thing is to install the program, okay? I'll try to get to her through a promotional giveaway. Girls that age usually accept easily. Naomi hung up and got out of her SUV. Her clients were already waiting at the curb, a young couple looking for their first home. She activated her professional smile and went to meet them. The showing went excellently. The couple loved the condo and were ready to discuss terms. Naomi set up a meeting for the next day to sign the pre-contract. In the afternoon, a message arrived from Marcus. Program installed on target number 2's phone, beginning information gathering. Perfect. Now Naomi would know the mistress's every move. Darius returned home around 9. He looked tired and irritable. Problems at work? Naomi asked solicitously, serving him pasta with sauce. What problems? He grumbled. Just a tough day. They ate in silence. Naomi watched her husband nervously checking his phone, typing messages, and looking back at the screen. After dinner, Darius retreated to his study. Naomi washed the dishes, tidied the kitchen, then sat in the living room with her tablet. The tracking app glowed on the screen. She saw all of her husband's messages in real time. He was writing to Chloe, Sorry, sweetheart. Couldn't talk to my wife today. She was in a good mood. I didn't want to ruin it. Tomorrow for sure. Chloe's reply, Darius, I understand it's hard for you, but we had an agreement. How much longer do I have to wait? Darius, have a little more patience, love. Everything will work out, I promise. Chloe, okay, I love you. Can you come see me, even for a little while? I miss you. Darius, can't today. I'll try tomorrow during the day. Naomi read the conversation with icy calm. So her husband really intended to leave. He was just stalling, looking for the right moment. She opened a new message and wrote on Darius's behalf after he had put his phone down and gone to bed. You know, sweetheart, I've been thinking, how about we get away together this weekend? Take a break from all this tension. What do you say? Then she deleted the conversation. As always, an hour later, Darius came out of the study and went to shower. Naomi quickly grabbed his phone. Chloe's reply had already arrived. Oh, yes, my love. I dreamed of this. Let's go to the lake, rent a cabin. It will be so romantic. Naomi smiled and typed the response. Agreed. I'll organize everything, but don't tell anyone a word. Okay? It will be our secret. Chloe, of course, I'm so happy. I love you so, so much. Naomi deleted the conversation and returned the phone. The plan was getting complicated, but that made it even more interesting. The next day, she met with Marcus again. The detective spread a folder of photographs on the table. Here is everything I've gathered in 3 days. Your husband has been seeing Chloe Jensen for 4 months. They started in June after a corporate retreat. They meet 2 or 3 times a week, usually at her apartment. Sometimes they go to coffee shops on the other side of town where no one knows them. Naomi glanced at the photos. Darius and Chloe holding hands. Darius and Chloe kissing in a doorway. Darius and Chloe staring into each other's eyes at a restaurant. What is he promising her? She asked. Judging by the wiretaps, he's promising marriage. He says he will divorce you within a month. He claims the condo is in his name and that you won't get anything. He's lying, Naomi said coldly. The condo was purchased during the marriage. It is a joint asset. Furthermore, I invested more money than him in the renovations. I have all the receipts. Marcus nodded. I checked. Legally, you're right, but Chloe believes him. Moreover, she has already started planning their future together. Exactly what? She spoke on the phone with a friend. They were discussing when she should quit her job. She wants to be free for him. She is also planning to take out a loan to renovate her apartment, preparing it for their life together. Naomi leaned back in her chair. Chloe was quitting her job and taking out a loan for a man who was just playing with her. Obviously, he had promised to pay for it. Or maybe not. Perhaps Darius really did want to leave, Naomi thought. He just didn't know how to handle the divorce properly so he wouldn't lose money. That's why he lied to Chloe about the condo. I need a recording of a conversation between Darius and one of his colleagues where he tells the truth about his intentions, Naomi said. No sugarcoating, no lies. His real thoughts. I'll try. He has a friend at work, Terrence Williams. They often eat lunch together. I'll try to record their conversation. Perfect. And one more thing. Find out everything about Darius's finances. Accounts, deposits, loans, debts, everything down to the last penny. Marcus took notes. That will take a few more days. You have until the end of the week, Naomi reminded him. She returned home and continued her double game. During the day, she was the perfect wife. She cooked her husband's favorite meals, smiled, and showed interest in his affairs. At night, she wrote to Chloe on Darius's behalf, feeding her expectations, driving her to reckless actions. I want you to be completely mine, she wrote. Quit your job. Take care of yourself. I'll support us both. Chloe believed every word. By the end of the week, Chloe Jensen submitted her 2-week notice. Naomi learned this from Marcus, who was still monitoring the girl. She turned in the papers this morning, the detective reported by phone. 2 weeks' notice. She also took out a loan at the bank before leaving. $300,000 at a 15% annual interest rate. $300,000, Naomi repeated. And she believes Darius will pay the loan? Exactly. Judging by their conversation, he promised to pay it with his next bonus. Naomi smiled ironically. Darius never gave his money away easily. Even his lawful wife had to ask for funds for household needs. And now this girl was taking out $300,000 to renovate a stranger's apartment that her lover had promised her. She opened the tracking app and reviewed her husband's recent messages. Indeed, he had written to Chloe about the loan. Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll get the bonus in December, and I'll pay off your loan immediately. You're doing this for us. Naomi shook her head. Lie after lie, and the poor girl believed him. Well, enough with the pity. Chloe had chosen a relationship with a married man. She knew she was destroying another family. She had called the lawful wife stupid. On Friday night, Marcus sent an audio file. This is the recording of your husband's conversation with his colleague Terry, he wrote in the message. Listen carefully. I think it's exactly what you need. Naomi put on her headphones and played the recording. Cafe noise, clinking dishes, and then Darius's voice. Seriously? I'm sick of all these demands. Chloe is pressuring me. Naomi at home is complaining about wanting a baby. I just want to live peacefully. Terrence's voice, slightly mocking. But you got yourself into this. Why did you promise Chloe marriage? She made it all up herself. I just told her I love her, that I want to be with her. And she already imagined the white dress and the rings. Women always overcomplicate things. And what are you going to do? Terry asked. A pause. Then Darius's voice quieter. Look, I'll have some fun with her for a little longer, and I'll settle down. It's time to be an exemplary husband and have kids. Naomi will be 31 soon. The biological clock is ticking. She'll propose forgetting all the offenses herself. This little adventure is, well, just entertainment before a new phase of life. A last taste of freedom. So you want to stay with your wife, Darius? What other choice is there? We have the condo, joint assets, 7 years together. Divorce is expensive and complicated. It's easier to wait it out. Chloe will understand that I don't plan to marry her. She'll leave on her own. All of them leave when they realize the fairy tale is over. The important thing is not to make concrete promises. I'm smart. I always leave myself an out. The recording cut off. Naomi took off her headphones. Her hands were trembling with rage. So both she and Chloe were mere pawns in his game. He had decided to have fun and then return to family life as if nothing had happened. No, that won't happen. She listened to the recording 3 more times. She copied it onto a separate USB drive. It was the trump card that would shatter all of Darius's plans. The next day, Naomi invited Marcus to a coffee shop. I need to set up a meeting, she said, when they sat at a table in the back. A nice restaurant. I'll invite Chloe on Darius's behalf. I'll say he has finally decided to announce the divorce and wants to celebrate the start of a new life. She will come, and I will be there. Marcus pondered. Risky. She won't leave immediately. I will intrigue her. I'll also call Darius there, supposedly for work. I'll set up a public confrontation with witnesses. Exactly. I need witnesses for the court and an audio recording of the conversation. The detective nodded. I understand. When do you plan to do this? In 3 days. Wednesday evening. Darius will think I'm at a meeting with clients until late. Agreed. I will arrange video recording from outside. Extra evidence never hurts. Naomi smiled. The plan was becoming clearer and clearer. That same evening, she wrote to Chloe on Darius's behalf. Sweetheart, I've finally mustered the courage. Wednesday evening, I'll talk to my wife and come straight to you. Let's meet at the Skyline Room restaurant at 8 p.m. I want this night to be special, the start of our new life. Wear a beautiful dress. I love you. The reply arrived in a minute. Darius, I'm so happy. I'll finally be the most beautiful for you. I love you, I love you, I love you. Naomi deleted the conversation and returned her husband's phone to the side table. Darius was sleeping, completely unaware of the trap being set. The next 2 days were spent in preparation. Naomi booked a table at the restaurant in her name, arranged the video recording with Marcus, and checked her digital audio recorder. Everything had to be perfect. On Wednesday morning, she prepared breakfast as usual. She kissed her husband goodbye. I'll be back late tonight, she said, meeting with clients about a new listing. Don't wait up for me for dinner. Darius nodded without looking up from his phone. Good. I'll be late too, he mumbled. Naomi smiled inwardly. Of course he'd be late, just not the way he planned. During the day, she wrote to Chloe again. Sweetheart, I'll be a little late. I'll arrive at 8:30. Don't worry, everything is going according to plan. My wife doesn't even suspect. Soon we'll be together forever. The response was enthusiastic. I'll be waiting, my love. I've already bought a new dress, especially for tonight. Perfect. Chloe had taken the bait. Now she just needed to get Darius there. Naomi called her husband around 6 in the evening. Darius, hi. Look, a problem came up with clients. They urgently need a consultation on a marketing campaign to sell their property. You're our marketing expert. Can you come to the Skyline Room at 8:30? I'll buy you an excellent dinner as a thank you. Darius hesitated. Naomi, I have plans tonight. Darius, this is really important. The clients want to sell a 3-bedroom in the downtown area. My commission will be over $200,000. Please help me. Just 1 hour. A pause, then a sigh. Okay, I'll be there at 8:30. Thank you, sweetheart. You're the best. Naomi hung up and smiled. All the pieces on the board were set. All that remained was to start the game. The Skyline Room was on the top floor of an upscale office complex. Panoramic windows offered views of the nighttime Atlanta skyline. The soft lighting created a romantic atmosphere. An expensive, prestigious place, exactly the kind of place to celebrate an important event. Naomi arrived first at 7:30. She wore a severe black business suit, a businesswoman, not a rival in a battle of hearts. She reserved a table near the window to have a good view of the entire room. She sat with her back to the entrance so Chloe wouldn't see her right away. Marcus Jones was seated at an adjoining table with a tablet. He looked like a normal diner, but his tablet was recording everything happening. Another camera was installed in a decorative plant near their table. At exactly 8 o'clock, Chloe Jensen entered the restaurant. Naomi turned and saw her in person for the first time. A young blonde in a tight red dress, high heels, and loose flowing hair, heavy makeup, glossy lips. The girl radiated happiness and excitement. Chloe looked around, searching for Darius. Not finding him, she approached the receptionist. Good evening. I have a table reserved under Hayes, she said. The receptionist nodded. Yes, of course. Please follow me. She led the girl to the table by the window, to the table where Naomi was already sitting. Chloe stopped when she saw the unknown woman. Excuse me, there must be a mistake, she said to the receptionist, confused. I'm waiting for a man. Naomi stood up and turned to face her. Their eyes met. There's no mistake, Chloe. Naomi said calmly. "Sit down. We need to talk." The girl's face went pale. You're Darius's wife." "Exactly. My name is Naomi Hayes. Please sit. I don't bite. Or do you want to make a scene in front of the whole restaurant?" Chloe looked around. Several diners were already looking their way. She slowly sank into the chair opposite Naomi. "What do you want?" she hissed. "Where is Darius?" "Darius will arrive soon," Naomi said, looking at her watch. "In about 20 minutes. In the meantime, you and I are going to chat." "I have nothing to talk to you about." "On the contrary, there's a lot to talk about. For example, how you wrote a message to my husband calling me stupid. Do you remember that?" Chloe flushed. She trailed off, unable to find a justification. "Or how you planned a life together with a married man," Naomi continued in an even tone. "You quit your job, took out a loan to renovate a stranger's apartment, all for a man who promised to marry you." "He loves me," Chloe burst out. "He said himself he would divorce you." "Oh, really?" Naomi took her phone from her purse. "Let's listen to what he tells his friends about you." She played the recording of Darius's conversation with Terry. Her husband's voice sounded clearly in the quiet restaurant. "Look, I'll have some fun with her for a little longer, and I'll settle down. It's time to be an exemplary husband and have kids. Chloe will understand that I don't plan to marry her. She'll leave on her own. This little adventure is, well, just entertainment before a new phase of life." Chloe listened, her face turning paler with every word. When the recording ended, the girl was silent, clutching the edge of the table with both hands. This isn't true," she finally whispered. "You faked the recording. Faked it." Naomi smiled ironically. "Fine. Then let's wait for Darius and ask him in person. By the way, there he is." She nodded toward the entrance. Darius Hayes was entering the restaurant in a business suit with a briefcase in hand. He looked around, searching for his wife. Halfway to the table, he saw Chloe. He froze instantly. His face fell. His eyes widened like saucers. "Naomi, what—" he started, but cut himself off. "Hello, Darius," Naomi greeted him sweetly. "Come over, sit down. We're having a little meeting here." Darius shot a confused look from his wife to his mistress and back again. "I can explain." "Of course you can. Sit down and explain to both of us." Naomi gestured to the empty chair. Darius slowly sat down. He was silent, not knowing where to start. "Darius," Chloe said in a low voice, "tell her you love me. Tell her we're going to be together." Darius looked at the girl, then at his wife. Naomi watched him calmly, awaiting his response. "Chloe, it's complicated," he mumbled. "You have to understand." "What do I have to understand?" The girl's voice rose. "That you lied to me? That everything you said was a lie?" Several diners turned toward their table. "Lower your voice, please," Darius pleaded. "Let's not make a scene." "And what were you going to make?" Naomi asked coldly. "You promised her marriage. You told her I wouldn't get anything in the divorce because the condo is in your name. You lied about your intentions. You made her quit her job and take out a loan. And all this time, you were telling your friends you were just having fun before becoming an exemplary husband." Darius paled. "You've been spying on me." "Of course. Did you think I'd just sit back while you destroyed our family?" "What family?" He raised his voice. "You turned our home into a branch of your agency, always working, always busy. And you decided to seek solace in your secretary's arms?" Naomi retorted. "A classic solution. There's nothing to say." Chloe listened to their fight and suddenly burst into tears. Silently, without sobs, tears simply streamed down her cheeks, running her mascara. "I was so stupid," she whispered. "I believed every word. I quit my job. I took out a loan. I dreamed of a wedding, and you just used me." Darius reached out to her, but the girl recoiled. "Don't touch me!" "Chloe, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to," he began. But Naomi interrupted him. "You didn't mean to. You knew perfectly well what you were doing. You promised her the world, knowing you wouldn't keep any of it. You manipulated her, just like you've manipulated me all these years." "Naomi, enough!" Darius slammed his fist on the table. "What right do you have to judge me?" "The right of a lawful wife," she answered calmly. "The wife who lived with you for 7 years, who invested all her money in our condo, who planned a future while you were seeing your mistress." Naomi took a digital audio recorder from her purse and placed it on the table. "Everything you are saying right now is being recorded. This recording will be used in the divorce proceedings. I also have witnesses." She nodded toward Marcus, who was still sitting at the adjoining table. "And a video recording of our conversation." Darius looked at the recorder, then at the detective, and his face contorted with rage. "You set all this up. You brought us here on purpose." "Exactly," Naomi nodded. "I organized a welcome home party. Remember Chloe's message about the keys? That's when I thought, excellent idea. I'll throw a welcome home party for both of you, to your new life, just not the one you planned." Chloe was still crying, her face buried in a napkin. Darius sat with a clenched jaw, glaring at his wife with poorly concealed fury. "What do you hope to achieve with this spectacle?" he ground out. "Justice," Naomi replied, "and an honest division of assets. Darius, I consulted a lawyer. The condo was purchased during the marriage, so it is a joint asset. In the divorce, I am entitled to half. Moreover, I have all the receipts for the renovation and the furniture. I invested $100,000 more than you in our condo. Therefore, my share will be larger." Darius's face turned red. "You won't get anything. I'll find the best lawyers." "You will find them," Naomi nodded. "And they will tell you the same thing my lawyers told me. The law is on my side, but it's not just about the condo." She took another folder from her purse and placed it on the table. "This is the dossier that the private detective compiled over the last week. Everything is here. Photographs, conversation recordings, chat printouts, proof of your infidelity, proof of how you deceived not only me, but also Chloe." Darius reached for the folder, but Naomi pulled it away. "This is a copy. The original is in a safe place, along with witness statements, audio, and video recordings. In court, all of this will be added to the case." "Why?" Chloe asked in a low voice, lifting her tear-streaked face. "Why are you doing this to us?" Naomi looked at her. "With you, dear child, I haven't done anything. You did it all yourself. You got involved with a married man, believed his promises, quit your job, took out a loan. Those were all your decisions." "But he promised—" "Men promise a lot," Naomi said harshly, "especially when they want to get what they want. But you could have verified his words. You could have not rushed. You could have thought with your head and not your heart." Chloe slumped back into the napkin. "I just wanted love. I wanted it once too," Naomi said softly. 7 years ago, I met a charming man. I fell in love, got married. I made plans with him, dreamed of children. And this is the result. The husband cheats with the secretary, lies to my face, promises his mistress what he can't deliver." She paused, then continued, "But I don't intend to just suffer and cry. I'm going to fight for my rights. And you, Chloe, can you help me?" The girl looked up. "Help? How?" "Testify in court. Confirm that Darius promised to marry you. Tell about his deceit. That will strengthen my position in the division of assets." Darius shot up from his chair. "Are you crazy, Chloe? Don't listen to her." "And why shouldn't I listen to her?" the girl asked quietly, looking at him. "You lied to me. You used me. You made me take out a loan. Made me believe in something that never existed. Why should I protect you?" "Why?" Darius stammered, unable to find an argument. "Because you still love him?" Naomi suggested. "Sweetheart, he doesn't deserve your love. He's a selfish liar. And the sooner you understand that, the better for you." Chloe remained silent, thinking about Naomi's words. Think about it, Naomi continued. You've quit your job. You took out a loan. Now you have no income and $300,000 of debt. Darius promised to pay the loan, but we both know he won't, right, Darius? Darius was silent, his teeth clenched. That's what I thought, Naomi nodded. So you'll be left alone with the debt. Unless what? Chloe asked. Unless I help you. You see, I'm not vindictive. I understand that you are also a victim in this story. Darius manipulated you just like he manipulated me. That's why I'm willing to help you. You testify in court, and I'll help you find a new job. I have many contacts in the city. I'll find you a good position with a decent salary so you can pay off the loan. Chloe's eyes filled with hope. You would really do that? Of course, but on one condition. You tell the court the absolute truth about your relationship with Darius, without hiding anything. The girl looked at Darius. He was looking at her with a mixture of pleading and anger. Chloe, don't do it, he said softly. I beg you. Why? She asked. So you can quietly go back to your wife as if nothing happened? So I'm left with nothing? I'll find a way to help you, Darius murmured unconvincingly. What way? Chloe stood up. You already told your friend Terry everything. To you, I'm just entertainment before a new phase of life. Well, you know what? That phase won't be what you planned. She turned to Naomi. I accept. I'll testify. I'll tell everything I know. Naomi nodded with satisfaction. Good girl. Here's my card. Call me tomorrow morning. We'll discuss the details. Chloe took the card, put it in her purse, and headed for the exit. At the door, she turned and looked at Darius. You know, I really loved you. I thought you were special, but you turned out to be just a pathetic coward. She walked out without looking back. Darius and Naomi were left alone at the table. He stared out the window with a clenched jaw. She calmly finished her coffee. You destroyed everything, he finally said. No, Darius, you destroyed it. I've just put the pieces back in order. What do you want from me? Divorce. An honest division of assets. And for you to leave me alone. And if I refuse? Naomi looked at him. Then all these materials will go not only to the court, but also to your HR department. I wonder how the company will take the fact that the associate director of marketing was involved with his secretary, especially considering your strict corporate ethics code. Darius's face turned deathly pale. You wouldn't dare. I will dare. If you obstruct the divorce or try to deceive me with the division of assets, the choice is yours. She stood up, leaving money on the table for her coffee. My lawyer will contact you tomorrow. I advise you to find a good attorney. You'll need one. And she left, leaving Darius sitting alone at the table amidst strangers and broken illusions. The next morning, Naomi woke up with a feeling of relief. For the first time in a week, she slept soundly, without distressing thoughts or nightmares. The plan had worked perfectly. All the cards were on the table. The game was entering the final stretch. Darius had not spent the night at home. Naomi didn't know where he was, and she didn't care. The important thing was that the process was in motion. It was impossible to stop now. At 9 a.m., Chloe called. Mrs. Hayes, hello. The girl's voice sounded tired. It's Chloe Jensen. You told me to call. Yes, of course. How are you feeling? Terrible. Cried all night. I can't believe all this happened. I understand. The first shock is always the hardest, but you'll get through it. Believe me, in a month, you'll look back on this story and be amazed at how you ever got involved. Chloe quietly sniffled. I wanted it to work out so badly. I know, but sometimes what we want doesn't align with reality. It's better to know the truth now than a year or two from now, when it would hurt even more. I guess you're right. Yes, I am. Listen, let's meet today at noon. We'll talk about your situation. I have a few job options that might interest you. Seriously? Hope appeared in Chloe's voice. You really want to help me? Yes. Come to my office at 3 p.m. The address is on the card. Okay? Okay. Thank you. I didn't expect you to be so kind to me. Naomi sighed. Chloe, I'm not angry with you. Yes, you made a mistake by getting involved with a married man, but the main culprit here is Darius. He deceived both of us. It's just that I turned out to be more experienced and figured out his game sooner, and if I hadn't figured it out, then he would have continued lying to me until he got tired of you. Then he would have found the next one, and so on, ad infinitum. Men like Darius don't change, they just learn to cover their tracks better. Chloe was silent, then said quietly, "You know, I thought I hated you. When I found out Darius had a wife, I imagined you as some evil fury who wouldn't let him be happy. And you turned out to be normal, even good." Naomi smiled ironically. "Darius painted my portrait in dark colors. That makes it easier to justify infidelity. If the wife is bad, then the husband has the right to seek solace elsewhere. Classic manipulation." "Yes, I suppose." "Enough of this. I'll see you at 3. And Chloe, stop crying. You are young, beautiful, and have your whole life ahead of you. You'll find a decent man, get married, and have children. And this story will be just a lesson. Agreed? I'll try. See you later." Naomi hung up. She reflected. Chloe wasn't such a bad girl. Naive, foolish, frivolous, yes, but not malicious. Just a silly young woman who believed the tales of an adult man, although now was not the time for compassion. She had to keep moving forward. At 10 a.m., Naomi met with her attorney, Olivia Stone, a tall woman in her 50s with a sharp gaze and an iron hand, the best family law attorney in Atlanta, who had won dozens of high-profile divorces. "Well, Mrs. Hayes," Olivia began, spreading documents on the table. "I have studied all the materials you provided. The case is clear. We have evidence of spousal infidelity, witness testimony, audio and video recordings, plus financial documents confirming your contribution to the joint assets. What are my chances?" "Practically 100%. You will get half of the condo plus compensation for the funds invested in the renovation. You also have savings, about $600,000 in an account. Is that your personal money earned before the marriage and held in a time deposit?" "Yes." "Perfect. That is not divided. And your husband? What assets does he have?" "A car in his name. A lake house property we bought 2 years ago. Bank deposits. I don't know the exact amount, but the detective will find out." "All that is also subject to division. Prepare yourself for a long process. Your husband won't give up the assets easily." "I am prepared," Naomi said firmly, "no matter how long it takes." Olivia smiled. "That's what I like, clients with character. We will start the complaint. We'll send the documents to the court today." They spent 2 hours in the office, discussing the details of the case, the defense strategy, and the opposing side's possible moves. When Naomi stepped outside, the sun was high. The city was living its usual life. She looked at her watch, 1:30. She had an hour and a half until her meeting with Chloe. She could go home and change. The condo greeted her with silence. Darius had not shown up. Naomi didn't know where he had spent the night, and she didn't care. The important thing was that the process was underway. It was now impossible to stop it. Naomi walked through the rooms, contemplating the familiar objects, the sofa they chose together at the furniture store, the paintings on the walls brought back from vacations, the cabinet he built with his own hands the first year of their marriage. So many memories, good and bad, happy moments and bitter fights. All of it was now in the past. Naomi suddenly felt tears in her eyes, not pity for herself, but the realization that an entire chapter of her life was ending. 7 years with a person she had loved, and now only legal battles and division of assets. She allowed herself to cry for about 5 minutes. Then she wiped her tears, washed her face with cold water, and reapplied her makeup. Enough weakness. A new life lay ahead, and it would be better than the last. At 3 in the afternoon, Chloe entered the office of Horizon Realty, where Naomi worked. The girl looked pale, but held herself steady. Naomi led her to the meeting room. She ordered coffee. "How did you sleep?" she asked, sitting opposite her. "Barely slept," Chloe confessed. "I kept thinking about what happened, about Darius's words, about how foolish I was." "You're not foolish, just trusting. That's not a flaw. Just a character trait that led me to debt and unemployment. To temporary difficulties, Naomi corrected, which we will now resolve. I called a few acquaintances. There are 3 job options for you. She spread printouts of job offers on the table. The first, an assistant manager at a construction company. Salary of $65,000 plus bonuses. The second, a receptionist at a medical center. Salary of $60,000 but stable. The third, a sales associate at a furniture showroom. Salary of $60,000 plus sales commissions, which could reach $70,000 a month. Chloe attentively studied the papers. "And why are you helping me so much?" she suddenly asked, looking up. "I mean, I understand the testimony in court, but you could just demand it without offering me anything in return." Naomi thought for a moment. "You see, Chloe, I don't want revenge on you. Revenge is a destructive feeling. It eats you up inside. I want justice. Darius must answer for his actions, and you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yes, you made a mistake, but you've already paid for it. You lost your job, took out a loan, suffered public humiliation. I think that's enough." Chloe nodded, and a tear rolled down her cheek. "Thank you," she said in a low voice. "You are a good person. Darius didn't deserve a wife like you. Instead, he deserved a mistress like you." Naomi smiled ironically. "Trusting and naive." Chloe smiled through her tears. "I won't get involved with married men again, I promise." "Very good. So, which option interests you?" The girl looked at the papers again. "I like the third option, sales associate. I'm good at communicating with people, persuading. Maybe I'll grow there." "Excellent choice. I'll call the owner of the showroom. He's a client of mine. I'll arrange an interview for tomorrow." "Really?" Chloe's eyes sparkled with hope. "That would be wonderful." "Then it's settled. And now, let's talk about the trial. My lawyer wants to record your testimony on video. Then this recording will be added to the case. Are you ready?" Chloe straightened up. "Ready. I'll tell everything as it happened. Darius should get what he deserves." They spent another hour in the office discussing details. Then Naomi walked the girl to the exit. "Remember, you're not the first or the last woman a man has deceived," Naomi advised as they parted. "The important thing is to learn the lesson and not repeat the mistakes." "I'll remember," Chloe nodded, "and thank you again for everything." Naomi watched her leave and thought that life was a strange thing. Just a week ago, this girl was her enemy, her rival, the one trying to destroy her family, and now they were allies in the fight against a common aggressor. The trial began 3 weeks later. Many things happened during that time. Darius left the condo and moved into his friend Terry's place. Chloe started her new job at the furniture showroom and showed excellent results from day one. She sold an entire bedroom set to a young couple. Naomi sold 2 properties and received a good commission. The lawyers for both parties exchanged documents, claims, and counterclaims. Darius demanded to keep the condo, arguing that he had made the principal mortgage payments. Naomi presented receipts for the renovation and furniture, proving her investment. The first hearing was formal. The judge studied the case materials, heard the positions of the parties, and ordered an appraisal to assess the value of the assets. Darius sat opposite Naomi, avoiding her gaze. He looked bad, thinner, haggard, and sad. After the hearing, Naomi ran into him in the courthouse hallway. "Satisfied with the result?" she asked. Darius looked up at her. "Naomi, enough. Let's reach an agreement like adults. Let's divide everything equally and separate. Why drag this out?" "Like adults." She smiled ironically. "Now you remember adulthood. When you were cheating on me for 4 months, lying to my face, making plans with your mistress, you weren't thinking about being an adult then." "I made a mistake," he said quietly. "I admit it. But do we really have to make this spectacle? You made the spectacle when you decided to live a double life. I'm just tidying up. You enjoy making me suffer." Naomi looked him in the eyes. "No, Darius, I don't enjoy it. You know, I still remember the man I fell in love with a long time ago. Charming, funny, with a spark in his eyes. But that man disappeared. In his place appeared a selfish liar who only thinks about himself. Darius smiled bitterly. People change. Yes, unfortunately, but I'm not obligated to accept those changes. I have a right to happiness, and I'm going to find it. Without you. She turned and headed for the exit. Darius called out to her, "Naomi, wait!" She stopped without turning around. "I really loved you," he said in a low voice. "At the beginning, I really did." "I know," Naomi replied, without turning her head. "I loved you too. Too bad it wasn't enough." And she walked out, leaving him standing in the empty hallway. The second hearing took place 2 weeks later. By then, the appraisal had valued the condo at $6 million. Considering Naomi's contributions to the renovation, her share amounted to $3,300,000. Darius's lawyer tried to challenge the renovation receipts, claiming they could have been falsified. But Olivia Stone presented testimonies from the contractors who did the work, contracts with companies, and photos of the condo before and after. The judge carefully studied all the documents. "Do you have any other arguments?" she asked Darius's lawyer. He hesitated. "Your Honor, my client believes the division should be equitable, 50-50. "The division will be equitable," the judge interrupted him, "taking into account the contribution of each party." The petitioner, Mrs. Hayes, invested $200,000 more than her husband in renovations and furnishings. Therefore, her share increases proportionally. Darius turned pale. His lawyer whispered something in his ear, but he wasn't listening. He just stared at Naomi with an expression of defeat on his face. The judge continued. Furthermore, the case materials include the testimony of witness Chloe Jensen regarding the respondent, Mr. Hayes's extramarital affair. This constitutes grounds for divorce at the wife's request. Mr. Hayes's infidelity is not disputed by his counsel. "Your Honor," Darius's lawyer interjected, "my client does not deny the fact of infidelity, but believes this should not influence the division of assets." "It will not influence the division," the judge nodded. "Assets are divided according to the law, regardless of the causes for divorce. However, the fact of infidelity is taken into account when determining emotional distress damages." "Emotional distress damages?" the lawyer repeated. "Yes. The petitioner, Mrs. Hayes, has the right to claim compensation for emotional distress in connection with spousal infidelity and public humiliation." Naomi hadn't even expected this turn. She hadn't asked for emotional distress damages, but the judge had raised the issue on her own. Olivia quickly wrote her a note. "Accept. We will file for damages. We can get another $300,000 to $500,000. Naomi nodded. The hearing ended with a date set for the next session. When everyone left the courtroom, Chloe approached Naomi. "What do you think will happen?" the girl asked. "Victory," Naomi said confidently. "We will win this case, and then a new life will begin. For both of us." Chloe smiled. "You know, I recently met a guy. He works at the appliance store nearby. He's named Paul. Normal, simple. Not handsome, not rich, but honest. He invited me to the movies this weekend." "And you accepted?" "Yes, I decided to give him a chance. Maybe something good will come of it." "I'm sure it will." Naomi nodded. "If you're honest with him and with yourself." "I will be, I promise. Darius taught me to value honesty." They said goodbye, and Naomi headed for her car. On the way, she called Olivia. "Excellent work today," the lawyer said. "The judge is on our side. I believe we will have a verdict in our favor in a month." "And what about the emotional distress damages?" "I will file the request. We'll ask for $500,000. Most likely they will grant $300,000 or $400,000. But that's still money." "Agreed. Go ahead." Naomi sat in her car and stared out the window for a long time. Everything was going according to plan. The divorce was inevitable. The division of assets was in her favor. Darius would get what he deserved. But why then was there such emptiness inside? She started the engine and drove home. On the way, she stopped at the grocery store buying food. The condo was silent and empty. Naomi made dinner, but she wasn't hungry. She sat on the sofa with a glass of wine and turned on the television. A comedy was playing on the screen. People were laughing and having fun. And Naomi sat alone in an empty condo, thinking that winning the lawsuit would not bring happiness, only justice and some money. But was that what she wanted when she got married? Did she dream of court battles and division of assets? No. She dreamed of family, children, shared happiness, but life had decided otherwise. The final hearing took place at the beginning of December. The city was preparing for the holidays. Naomi sat in the courtroom, listening to the judge's verdict. The marriage between Mr. Darius Hayes and Mrs. Naomi Hayes is hereby dissolved. The marital assets are divided as follows. The condo and property, with an estimated value of $6 million, are divided equally. The compensation amount of $500,000 must be paid by the respondent to the petitioner within 6 months. Darius sat with a stone face. His lawyer wrote something in a notebook. Naomi looked out the window and thought that she had won the battle, but the war had ended in defeat for everyone. After the verdict was read, they left the courtroom. Darius headed for the exit, but Naomi called him. "Darius, wait." He stopped without turning around. "I want to thank you," Naomi said. Darius turned, looking surprised. "For what?" "For the lesson. You taught me to value myself, to fight for my rights, to not let others use me." He smiled bitterly. "An expensive lesson." "You chose that price yourself when you decided to cheat." Darius nodded. "You know, I've thought a lot these months about us, about what went wrong, and I realized that we really could have been happy, had children, raised them, grown old together, but I ruined everything with my selfishness." "Yes," Naomi nodded. "You ruined it, and it can't be fixed now." "I know. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, truly." "Accepted, but that doesn't change anything." They were silent. Then Darius said, "I heard Chloe is dating someone, Paul. They've been together for 2 months now." "Yes, she's happy. Paul is a good man, honest, decent. What she needs." "And are you dating anyone?" Naomi shook her head. "Not yet, but I signed up for Spanish classes. I want to improve my conversation for working with foreign clients." "That's good. You always like to learn." "Yes, and I will continue. To develop, to grow, to move forward." Darius sighed. "Then I wish you luck. May everything turn out the way you want." "And the same to you." They shook hands formally, like strangers, and went their separate ways. Naomi walked down the street. The divorce was finalized. The assets were divided. The chapter was closed. Ahead was a new life. She got into her car and drove to the office. Work helped her not to dwell on sadness. Clients, deals, negotiations, all of it filled the emptiness and gave her a sense of purpose. A week later, Darius transferred the first installment of the compensation. Naomi put it in a time deposit. It would serve her future well. Chloe called her several times, thanking her for the help, telling her about Paul. The girl had genuinely changed. She had become more mature, more sensible. The job at the showroom was going well. She had already received 2 bonuses for high sales. "Mrs. Hayes, you know, I'm so grateful to you," she said during one of their calls. "If it weren't for you, I'd still be in debt and depression. And now I have a new job, a new boyfriend, a new life." "You did great. You knew how to get back on your feet. It's thanks to you. You gave me a second chance. You got back on your feet yourself. I just helped a little." "And how are you doing?" "Good. Working, living, making plans." "And your personal life?" Naomi smiled ironically. "Not yet. First, I need to recover from this whole story." "I understand, but you're so beautiful and smart. You're sure to find a worthy man. We'll see. Time will tell." Naomi spent the new year with friends at a restaurant. They had fun, laughed, and made plans for the future. At midnight, Naomi made a wish. To be happy. Truly happy. Not just successful. She regularly attended her Spanish classes. The classes were 3 times a week in a small downtown studio. The group consisted of about 10 people, mostly people in their 30s and 40s who wanted to improve their language for work or travel. In the second class, Naomi met Elijah Davis, a man about 38 years old, tall with a kind face and calm gray eyes. He sat at the desk next to hers and helped her solve a difficult exercise. "Thanks," Naomi said. "I was completely getting tangled up in all these verb tenses." "No problem," Elijah smiled. "I was tangled up at first, too, but then you get used to it. Practice is the important thing. Have you been studying Spanish long?" "About a year. Before, I only knew what I learned in high school, but my work requires a higher level. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I often have medical conferences abroad. I need to understand the presentations and communicate with colleagues." "A surgeon? Interesting profession." "Yes, but complicated. Great responsibility. Although when you see the result, that a person has healed thanks to your work, you understand that it's worth it." Naomi smiled. There was something comforting about this man. He didn't try to impress or brag. He just spoke calmly about himself. After class, they went outside together and started chatting at the exit. "Are you also studying the language for work?" Elijah asked. "Yes, I'm a real estate broker. I work with luxury properties. Foreign clients often appear. I need to be able to communicate fluently. A successful career, you could say, although lately I've had a lot of personal problems that distracted me from work." Elijah looked at her attentively. "Want to grab a coffee? There's a good cafe nearby, if you have time, of course." Naomi hesitated for a second, then nodded. "Why not? I have time." They sat in the cafe at a back table, drank coffee, and talked. Elijah talked about his work, complicated surgeries, and patients. Naomi listened, asked questions, and was surprised by his calm and composure. "And you?" he asked. "Tell me about yourself, if it's not a secret, of course." Naomi sighed. "My divorce recently ended. It was hard, unpleasant. My husband cheated on me. I had to divide the assets through court." "I understand. I know that topic too. I divorced 3 years ago. My wife left me for someone else." "And how did you get over it?" "It was hard at first. I felt cheated, but then I realized that you have to keep moving forward. Life doesn't end with one person. There are so many opportunities, meetings, and events ahead. You just have to open yourself up to them." "You're an optimist," Naomi smiled. "A realist. I've seen too much pain and suffering in my profession to get stuck on personal problems. When you operate on a person, when you save their life, you realize that a divorce or an infidelity is not the end of the world, just an unpleasant episode that you have to overcome and move on from." She looked at him and thought that it had been a long time since she had met such a calm, balanced man, without apparent bravado, without attempts to seem better than he was. Just a normal person who had gone through pain and learned to keep living. They stayed in the cafe for 2 hours, talking about everything. Then Elijah looked at his watch. "I have to go. I have surgery early tomorrow. I need to sleep." "Of course. Thank you for the company. I enjoyed it too. Let's do it again after the next class." "I'd love that." They exchanged phone numbers and said goodbye. Naomi walked home with a light heart. For the first time in many months, she felt good. Not just calm, but good. The meeting with Elijah had opened something new inside her. Hope, interest, or simply the understanding that life goes on. 2 years passed. One warm, quiet summer evening, Naomi stood by the window of the condo where she had remained living after the divorce, having paid her ex-husband half of its value. With the money he received, Darius bought a 1-bedroom apartment in the suburbs. Naomi looked out at the city. Many things had changed in these 2 years. The condo now belonged only to her. After the divorce, she did cosmetic renovations, changed the furniture, and added vibrant accents. The home truly became her territory, without shadows of the past. Work was going excellently. Naomi had received a promotion and now managed the luxury properties department. Her clients were successful entrepreneurs, foreigners, and celebrities. Her income doubled. But the main change happened in her personal life. She had married Elijah Davis 6 months ago. A small, intimate wedding in a circle of close friends, without pompous celebrations or excessive ostentation. Just two people who had found each other and decided to be together. Elijah turned out to be exactly what she had been looking for all her life: reliable, honest, decent. He didn't promise the world. He didn't dispense sweet words. He simply loved her with a calm, deep love that warmed her soul. 3 months ago, Naomi found out she was pregnant. It was a joyful surprise. Elijah was thrilled. He fluttered around her with care and attention. Together, they chose the stroller, the crib, and the baby clothes. They soon learned it would be a girl. The ultrasound showed it. They had already chosen the name: Zoe. Naomi placed her hand on her rounded belly and smiled. Soon, she would be a mother. The dream she had cherished all these years would come true. Her phone rang. Naomi went to the table, picked up the mobile. It was Chloe calling. "Mrs. Hayes, hello?" The girl's voice sounded cheerful on the phone. "How are you?" "Everything is perfect, thank you. And how are you?" "Wonderful. Paul and I have decided to move in together. We're going to rent a 2-bedroom apartment. I wanted to consult you. Maybe you can help me find a good option." "Of course I'll help you. Come to the office tomorrow and we'll talk it over." "Thank you so much. You are the best." "How's work?" "Perfect. They promoted me to sales manager. My salary has gone up. I've already paid off more than half of the loan. 6 more months, and I'll be debt-free." "Well done. I'm proud of you." "It's thanks to you. You gave me a second chance." "You got back on your feet yourself. I just helped a little." They chatted for about 10 more minutes, discussing Chloe and Paul's plans. The girl radiated happiness, and Naomi was happy for her. Chloe had truly changed. She had matured and started taking life more seriously. She had learned to value true feelings. After the conversation, Naomi returned to the window. Dusk was falling. The condo door opened. Elijah entered with grocery bags. "Hello, darling." He kissed her on the cheek. "I bought everything you asked for, and I also brought strawberries. I know you love them." "Thank you, honey. You're so thoughtful. For you and our little one, anything." He hugged her, placing his hand on her belly. They stood by the window, watching the sunset, in silence. Words weren't needed. They understood each other perfectly. Naomi thought about the long road she had traveled in these 2 years. Pain, resentment, struggle, victory, and finally, true happiness. Not illusory, not invented, but real. With a person who loved her truly, with a child who would soon be born, with a job that brought her joy, with a life full of meaning. "Deep in thought? Are you worried about something?" Elijah asked softly. "Not at all. Everything turned out so well. You earned this happiness, despite all the difficulties. We earned it together." He hugged her tighter, and Naomi closed her eyes, savoring the moment. Somewhere, in another part of the city, Darius was living. She knew he had bought a 1-bedroom apartment on the outskirts. He worked at a small company as a sales specialist. After the scandal, he quit his old job, deciding to start fresh. He was dating a colleague, Irene, but he wasn't planning on marrying her. And Irene was waiting and hoping, just as Chloe once waited. Naomi felt neither anger nor pity toward him, just indifference. He had made his choice and got his result. She had made hers and found happiness. Life had turned out to be fair to everyone. 3 months later, Zoe was born. A healthy baby girl with blue eyes and a tuft of blonde hair on her head. Elijah cried with happiness, holding his daughter in his arms. Naomi looked at the two of them, her dearest people, and felt absolute bliss. This was the real thing, not in condos, money, or court victories, but in these moments. The husband holding the newborn daughter, smiling through tears, whispering tender words. Chloe came to the hospital with a bouquet of flowers and a gift for the little one, a pink plush rabbit. "She's a darling," the girl marveled, looking at little sleeping Zoe. "You and Elijah are so happy. I look at you, and I believe that true love exists." "It exists," Naomi nodded. "You just have to find the right person and not rush. Give the relationship time to develop. I've learned that lesson. Now with Paul, I'm building the relationship differently. Slowly, honestly, without illusions. And you know what? It's much better. We've been living together for half a year, and I haven't regretted it once." "I'm happy for you, Chloe. And I'm happy for you. You earned this happiness after everything you had to go through." The girl paused. Then she added, "You know, sometimes I think about that time, that story with Darius, and I understand that it was an important lesson. Painful, offensive, shameful, but necessary. If it weren't for that story, I wouldn't have met Paul. I wouldn't have changed myself. I wouldn't have become the person I am now." Naomi nodded. "I have similar thoughts. If it weren't for Darius's infidelity, I wouldn't have met Elijah. I wouldn't have had Zoe. I would have continued living in an unhappy marriage, deceiving myself. So everything happens for a reason. Maybe life leads us where we need to be. The important thing is to be resilient to changes and know how to learn lessons." They talked a little more. Then Chloe left. Naomi was left alone with her daughter. Zoe slept, breathing softly, a small miracle that had changed her whole life. Elijah returned in the evening. "How are my girls?" he asked, kissing his wife. "Perfect. Zoe sleeps almost all the time. She only wakes up to eat." "What a smart girl. Grow up healthy and calm." He took his daughter in his arms, holding her close to his chest. Naomi watched them and thought that this was her deserved happiness. A year later, Naomi ran into Darius by chance at a major shopping mall. He was standing by the display window of an electronics store talking on the phone. He looked aged, tired. His face bore the mark of disappointment. Naomi walked past, pushing the stroller with Zoe. Darius saw her, froze, then slowly nodded in greeting. She returned the greeting and kept walking. No emotion, no regret, just two people who were once close and had now become strangers. Life continued, each on their own path. Naomi walked through the mall, smiling at her daughter sitting in the stroller. Elijah was waiting for her ahead. They had agreed to meet at a coffee shop on the second floor. Family, love, future. Everything important was right here, and the past stayed where it belonged, behind her. And that was exactly right. Did you like my story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.